Hey guys, before the video starts, right, I just want to give a really big massive thank you for joining Keith, joining me on this venture, talking about The Exorcist, because this video should have been out a year ago. Yeah, a year ago. Like, really, it was supposed to come out last October. That's when it was supposed to come out. But you guys are finally going to get to see it. I had so much fun editing it. And we do go off topic talking about Bruce Lee and also Pennywise the Clown. So that's going to be really enjoyable. Also, just to know, this is the very last episode of Horror Road. So having The Exorcist with these two legends is going to be an absolute ride. And also, I'm going to be doing a new series on 80s horror, which is going to be mostly 80s horror movie reviews. Because those movies, to me, are my favourite decades of horror, because I get more enjoyment. I love the practical effects because I have so much low budget on them. They do earn a lot of money in the box office. Evil Dead 1 had the lowest budget because it was mostly like an independent film, but it learned a lot at the box office. But that's just me. But anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoy the video. And as I always say, let's bring on the destruction, baby. Right, hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we are joined by two special guests. We have got John of Model Child Effect Movies.
I am.
And down below, we have Keith of Euphoria Pictures.
Hey, Ray. Thanks for having me.
No problem there. And today, we are actually going to doing a review of The Exorcist. So that is going to be really good. And then we're going to go down, like, the dark route, or like what happened on set on the film as well. So like why it was cursed, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We're going to go talk about that. And yeah, so I'm Ryan of Let's Get Kick Movies, and this is episode 30 of Trip to Horror Road, The Exorcist. And I'll see you after the intro is rolled. So yeah, as we said, we are going to be reviewing The Exorcist. But as we always do, I always let a guest tell us a little bit about the story, because this is actually a spoiler review, so it's not that bad. So we're going to talk about anything in the film, and yeah. So would any of you like to explain what The Exorcist is about?
Let you, John. I'll let you do it. You're the expert.
Well, I wouldn't say I was an expert, but I'll tell you what I feel about The Exorcist. I feel that it's probably one of the greatest possession movies of all time. I think it was way ahead of its time. I think if you transport yourself back to the year 1973 and imagine what was out in them days, and then this came out, it's just something that you think, I don't know, I would love to have been in the cinema at that point, to go to the first showing of the Exorcist, and to people Absolutely. To see what you can quote a class as a real life exorcism movie. Because to me, it played more like exactly how you would imagine this would happen in real life. And I don't think there was been so many realistic movies like it. And I think it spawned a lot of realistic type movies after it. And the movie itself, I think, deals with the fact is that one of the more shocking bits about it is because of the fact that it doesn't pull any punches. The young girl in this, Reagan, is a young girl. And it's not as if it's somebody when you think, oh, that's an adult and they're playing like a young partner, but we know that person might be 30, but they only look 13. This was an actual, young girl, which, so it makes it even more realistic. It makes it even more shocking as well, what's happening and what's being said, and all of you probably, I imagine everybody would have heard what happened to this before you even saw it, because it would have went around the school playground to say, this is in this movie, that's in this movie, and you couldn't imagine it. So, and I think it was done in a way that was like so realistic, it was like truly frightening. And for me, the Exorcist is the true. Well, it's not a true story, but it's based on a sort of true story about this young girl who got possessed by a demon, and it's her getting exorcised by two priests. One, the priest is sort of struggling with his identity in the sort of Catholic faith, and he has to look to the exorcist to sort of to help him along because he's not believing anything that he's doing. And I think this demon knows that. So the demon doesn't take him seriously until Father Karras comes in, who's the sort of the exorcist and the real sort of priest. And I think it's a sort of, I always think of it as a bit of a three-way sort of split between these three characters. They're all got this amazing things happening to them. And it's a fascinating mixture. And I think it's a unique story. It's well done. And I think because of that, it's got a really well done movie, really well done book and a cast. I think it works on that many levels. And I don't think, I mean, yeah, there's all remakes and there's all sequels, but for me, you would never touch, it's a bit like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you can never touch it, no matter how hard you try. And I think The Exorcist set the benchmark and it just left everything else in the dust.
I absolutely agree. I think you're spot on. I think, like you said, I like the way you kind of picked up on that, what you said about the three vocal points of that movie. You have the two priests, and then you have Reagan and her relationship with her mother and what they're going through this. And you have, like you said, you have one priest that's kind of dealing with his faith or his lack of. Yeah. And then again, you have the other father. What was his name? The older.
Merrill.
Yeah, Merrill. That's it. Sorry, thank you. Yeah. Then you had his kind of side, and he already encountered this demon, and right, you kind of have all them three things. Well, we apparently have seen his battle with the first attempt with Dominion, wasn't it? Yeah. So the less we say about that, probably the better.
Oh, that's true. I like the fact that in The Exorcist, you've got to pretty much make your own mind up about certain parts of it. It's not really explained that well to mean that it's not. You need a few watches to get you through thinking that what I've actually just seen there, because I think the first time around you're kind of blown away by what actually physically seeing, and then you've got to go back to it a few times to sort of take it in to see, because a movie, everyone talks about movies having layers, but this is a very layered movie, and much more than more horror films are. I think maybe the most layered horror film of all time, because there's that much going on about it, and you can take it the story from the mother's point of view, or Reagan's point of view, or the priest's point of view, and you can have different experiences with it all the time, and but it delivers on every level for me.
But then you kind of forget as well, there's also that investigation going on during the movie as well.
Yes.
So there is actually kind of...
Wow, yeah.
You kind of do forget. There's just so much going on in the film, and it really is. It definitely lives up to its masterpiece status. Unbelievable. And no other film, and we've seen so many attempts to kind of recreate what they've done in that movie, and every single one of them miserably failed. Nothing comes remotely close to it. Even when they brought out the last Conjuring film, they had a huge exorcism at the start of that. Yeah. And I remember when that came out, everyone was saying, "Oh, this rivals, the Exorcism and The Exorcist."
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
No,
it really doesn't.
Literally, when I sat down and watched The Exorcist 3, right, the devil made me do it. That start scene, when they're doing the exorcism in that scene, I was literally like, was that it?
Yeah.
This is every single modern exorcism movie I've seen, and literally I thought, right, I should have really walked out, but that wasn't really the part what the movie was to see, because it's totally that movie is totally different from what you're going to see in the first two films.
Absolutely.
Because that film is literally about it's basically about a witch or whatever the hell it was. It basically was that was the film. But that start scene was the only bit of supernatural kind of stuff you're going to get in it.
That's right.
Yeah, it was all about this little girl. It's basically a possessed little girl. Really, they just took the idea from The Exorcist. They basically just copied it and tried to make it their own thing. And what
the only thing I will say, I was there saying that no film came close to that exorcism. But having said that, there is one film, and John, me and you just spoke about it recently, and I'm doing my best to get it for you. Yeah, is The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Yeah.
Now, the exorcism at the end of that movie is absolutely extraordinary. It's terrifying, but it's not done in the kind of the controversial manner that they do with The Exorcism.
Yeah.
And but it's absolutely incredible as well in Emily Rose. It's the only film that I can think of that comes remotely close to The Exorcism when it comes to the exorcism itself.
No, well, that makes it even more. I mean, obviously, I want to see it, but but I always find that when I go to sort of revisit any movies that kind of take from The Exorcist, I always feel utterly disappointed because, to be honest, when you get The Exorcist, you've kind of seen the best, and everything's downhill after that. Which there's not many movies that can come out and do that. The one-shot movie, and then everything else is just like poor.
It's kind of like Jaws. No other shark movie came close to Jaws.
Well,
and it's the benchmark was set so high with The Exorcism and the likes of Jaws that just nothing came close to them.
No, you're right. Yeah, that's a bit testament to the whole thing, and I think there's a lot of things that I've got a big feeling about great titles in movies. If a movie's got a great title, it kind of makes the movie, word of mouth probably gets it before you've even seen it. And if you've got a good title to put in it, like I Spit on Your Grave, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it makes you think there's a great movie. And then you've got The Exorcist, which even the word sounds sinister. Exactly. It just looks sinister. Because so to me, they've got you before they've even know what it's about. You just gone, my God.
It's kind of like Halloween. Like you said, Halloween. Sorry, Ryan. When Halloween before it came out, someone actually done research on it, and they realized that the word Halloween was never used in a movie title.
Yeah.
Voila, you got Halloween, and it's incredible.
I know.
With Halloween, it's called All Hallows Eve, right? It's like, are you going to have a film called All Hallows Eve? No,
it probably is. I don't know.
Could be now, yeah. But Halloween is just. It's a title that's actually, if nobody knows about anything to do with these movies and you mention the word Halloween, it sounds a bit sinister and evil.
Absolutely.
So it's great. And when you've got the title, and for me, The Exorcist is probably one of the greatest titles of any horror movie out there. You kind of halfway there even before you started. And but some movies have got great titles that don't deliver. But my God, this one has got a whole lot. For me.
So here's a question for you then. So it's rumored, and the rumors are supposed to be true, that they're remaking The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually are. Do you know who's directing it? David Gordon Green.
You see, there you got that. There is a talent behind it. There is some talent there. I know I have complained about the previous Halloween movies, the newest ones. But you have to give credit to the director himself, that he clearly is a Halloween fan.
Yeah.
And I would be very interested to see what he does. I would rather, to be honest, I would rather hear that it was a sequel and not a remake of The Exorcist.
Yeah.
I would like to see them do what they've done with Candyman, basically.
So like a soft reboot kind of thing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, kind of something like that. Yeah. Sequel / soft reboot.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
But it's like thing with reboots and that these days, and like I'm going to say remakes. And that you had so many bad remakes down the line, right? But the Exorcist hasn't been remade until we found out. Now it's gonna get remade, right? It was just one of the most untouched movies that you can't watch. But now what they're doing, because Universal owns the rights to The Exorcist now, because I was reading up about it, because what they're trying to do, they're trying to make at least 3 films out of it. I was like, they're going to make it into its like own trilogy. I was thinking, if you want to do your own trilogy, why don't you do like something different with it? Don't have something to do with the original character. Look, we already know Reagan's story. That's already done, right? Focus on a new narrative, right? If you want to bring like probably like a new priest or an old priest back, that's fine. That's totally different, right?
Yeah.
It's a different story from their perspective. And you'll get a much better audience, and it's something new you're going to get out with it.
Yeah.
Using those characters, right, in a remake, and it's not actually the actual actors or actresses who starred in that film. You can see that it could be a bit bleak, but you just don't know, because like sometimes you can be surprised, like from these new movies.
Yeah, you don't know what you're going to get. You really don't. Like I said, when you do watch the Exorcist movie, and particularly the opening sequence to it, you do find that this film had the bones to make a possibly good prequel, which they tried, and they did screw it up. I think it was wrong the way they tried to, the story that they went about with that prequel. It just didn't work. And then they brought out another. It was they brought out the beginning, and then they brought out the Dominion, wasn't it? Is that right?
Yeah, that's
They
right.
brought out,
It was
Yes.
those two parts.
It was basically the same film, right? One was,
Yeah.
yeah, it's basically, but it's like directed by different directors. Because like when the beginning didn't come out, nobody liked it, right?
Yeah.
That's why they remade it, and people still don't like it.
Yeah.
It's just the same film. I haven't seen them because I don't have to.
Yeah.
Because I know the shit.
That's the thing. I think they screwed up with the prequels. I'm not going to lie. I felt they screwed up with the sequels as well, if I'm being totally honest. I wasn't a fan of them. I only just seen the third one there for the first time, probably a year ago. And I thought it was okay. It wasn't near as good as what a lot of people were making it out to be.
It's the best out of the lot.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
It's nowhere. You see that? Well, I saw The Exorcist. I was sitting around. I saw The Exorcist 2 before I saw The Exorcist because you could get The Exorcist 2 in the video library all the time. So I thought, oh, I can just get that. Obviously, it's got to be as good as The Exorcist, I thought mistakenly. And I was so let down by it because I thought this is the worst film I've seen. And because I was expecting it to be like really over the top, and it wasn't. So I think I got a shock at actually how bad The Exorcist was compared to Exorcist 2, like in the way of what you're seeing it. Yeah. And how good the movie The Exorcist was compared to The Exorcist 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I had trepidations about Exorcist 3. I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it a lot more than 2, obviously.
Okay.
But it's another one. It's the same with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, even though I kind of half like the sequels.
Yes. Very good.
It's just they're not the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's a sad thing that they might try and recreate the feeling or the whatever of The Exorcist, but I think they'll know they'll never do it, no matter how much they try.
That's what I'm kind of with this new film that they're bringing out. Like I said, I'm kind of hoping that it is a sequel, kind of soft reboot, kind of done that way, other than a remake. Because let's face it, if you're trying to remake The Exorcist, you're destined to fail. So why bother trying? So do a sequel, do a spiritual sequel to it,
exactly.
And see can you make at least the sequel that the fans hoped we would get from that movie.
Yes, that's a good point, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
That's about the best you can achieve.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like if you want to like create a sequel, get the original person, Linda Blair, who played Reagan, let her come back. Because like they tried what they tried to do, didn't they? Because they brought the TV series out, didn't they? Like the first season was basically about Reagan O'Neill, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but she was replaced by Gina Davis, which didn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
And should have continued with Linda Blair, but I know she wouldn't want to go back,
Well, not only that, but I still think the studios would be hesitant to get her as well because she has no pulling power now in Hollywood. She probably never did, to be honest. Where Jamie Lee Curtis, like with Halloween, Jamie Lee Curtis is still a massive name, and they knew that getting her in was always going to pull the people in. Whether the character Reagan being in a spiritual sequel, maybe they would pull the crowds in. I honestly don't know. I suppose I wouldn't be against seeing her in it. I definitely would love to see her, but I couldn't see it happening.
I think because if they do make a spiritual sequel, right? If they're going to use the same characters, right? Like the mother's going to be aged because it would have been like she would be 80 odd years old now.
Yeah.
And the mother who played Rachel's mother, played Reagan's mother. She's actually still alive. And
she is actually.
Yeah. Imagine she coming back for that sequel, thinking that something bad's going to happen, right? It's like it's just mad because there was so many mad stuff that will happen on the actual set. But if they do make this like sequel or remake, it's like, is it going to live up to everyone's expectations? That's the thing.
Wait a minute now. Now, I don't know if I was dreaming this or not, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm nearly sure she has been confirmed to come back.
What, the mother?
Ellen Bernstein.
Yeah, I'm almost certain I heard something that she is to come back for that movie.
Really?
And I'm nearly sure. I don't know what. Now, I don't know whether I was dreaming that or not, but I'm almost sure I remember someone telling me that apparently she is coming back for it.
Wow. It'd be interesting to see how that would play out, and maybe she's coming in as a cameo of somebody else.
Maybe.
Make more sense.
Because, to be honest, when you think about The Exorcist, there's not that many people left from that film, is there? Even the director, the writer, there's nobody.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though, as
two
well.
people.
But is the oldest priest in it? Because he was done up. He was only a young man, wasn't he? Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think he's only about 50.
Yeah, Jason.
So he had makeup done on him.
Yeah.
And is he still alive today? I honestly don't know.
No, he's just died. Max von Sydow, I think he died about 2017.
Right. Because I actually showed that to my fiance. She had no idea when she seen The Exorcist. She had no idea that was makeup on him. And when I showed him a picture, her a picture of him like around 5-6 years ago, she was kind of scratching her head. She was like, "What?
I know.
What's happening here?" She didn't actually see. Yeah, so she didn't know. So
you're right there, because he was actually, I think his last film might have been in The Force Awakens. He played a small part in that.
Yes.
And he looked exactly the same as he did as Father Merrill.
Yeah. Unbelievable. And that's a testament to the makeup in that movie.
Yeah, it's
unbelievable.
You could say to yourself that the movie is a perfect movie, but in a way, this kind of is a perfect movie. If you think about it, you try to dissect it and try to pick faults with it, there's not much faults you can pick with it.
No, I will not make. I couldn't. I honestly couldn't. Like I said, I did say this before. It's not my go-to horror movie. It never will be.
Yeah.
But my God, I respect the shit out of the movie. I think it's an absolute masterpiece. It will always be a horror masterpiece.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan. I am a fan. It's just like I said, it definitely wouldn't be one of my go-to movies, if I've been totally honest. But it just done everything right. It really did.
Exactly.
Even the director himself, like the director himself couldn't even come close to it.
Yeah.
I can't even think of another film that he directed after The Exorcist.
I think he directed a few, but they were all just bombs, turkeys.
Yeah.
There were nothing. There was nothing memorable.
Absolutely.
William Friedkin.
Yeah,
That's
three of his films like on the shelf. I think because he done like To Live and Die in LA, didn't he? And I think.
Oh yes.
And he also done Cruising.
Did he do a film called? I might be wrong with this. A film called Bug or something like that.
I don't know. Nah, I don't think so. I don't know.
I think he did The Sorcerer, or I could be wrong with that one as well, because it's.
Right.
Yeah.
Did he do The Keep? Or is
Yeah,
that another one? I'm just.
I think you're right with that.
Yeah.
I think that film wasn't bad as far as I remember, was it?
It was a bit odd though. I think they'd cut it wrong. I think they had lots of problems with cutting it. But the film itself was a mess. But I'm sure they're going to do a redo of a director's cut and sort of put it in the right order or something like that.
Right. But it's a wonder the director got any work again when you think about it, because some of the things that he'd done in that movie, it was shocking. Like that scene where I think when Regan hits the mother on it, she hits her the slap. Slap. Yeah, apparently she was being pulled by ropes, wasn't it, or something like that?
Really?
Yeah.
And she was complaining. I think she complained about the ropes being pulled too hard, and she asked the director to tell the men to, ease down on it. And apparently he told them to do it even harder or something like that. It was something. I do remember something like that. Hearing something, it was just crazy. He was a bit of a lunatic apparently on set.
I think he wanted everything his own way. Even when you see documentaries about him on the makings of The Exorcist, he's always a bit. He's got that bit of sort of thing about him. He's a bit. He's this my way or the highway sort of attitude.
Yes. Yeah. But like even when you watch that movie, like I always say this to, even going to like a Bad Santa and all that, and you have young children in these movies.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see the conversations with the directors to the parents of these children, particularly the exorcism. Could you imagine that meeting and the director and the writers and everything sitting down with the parents and basically telling them everything that this child is going to do in this movie? Like that would have been. I would love to have a little sneak peek into that conversation, just to see what it was like.
It would have been very awkward, wouldn't it?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Or is it just a matter of, well, how much money are you giving me? And then, just do whatever you want then.
Because apparently it's not. She didn't actually say the words. It's somebody else did the words. She never spoke the words.
Oh, really?
You know, the voice that she's saying when she's saying all the curse words, she's not actually doing it.
But does she have to mouth
She
them though?
She must have mouthed it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they haven't done some kind of CGI with a mouth to get it to say what it's saying. But apparently, it's not her. It was somebody who was older had to say it. I think it was maybe it would have been a bit of an obscenity law or a bit of a blasphemy law for somebody young to say that. I think something like that.
You see, that's the thing as well. We're just going back again to them doing that spiritual sequel or whatever the hell it's going to be. But that's where it's going to be let down as well, because there's no way that movie is going to be allowed to do the things that they've done in that movie back in the 70s. Some of the things that are even said in that movie, it just wouldn't be allowed today. It's not going to happen. And that alone is going to harm the movie, I think.
That's a good point, because I think we were talking a bit earlier, Ryan, about the fact of sort of how the world's changed. And I mean, that was, don't get us wrong, that would have been highly shocking back in the day.
Yeah.
But it might even be more shocking now. And you know, these days you've got to be really careful what you say in any
Absolutely.
Yeah, with the
or you'll get dragged over the coals for the merest slip up of something, and you don't actually mean it. But with this Exorcist, if they go down the route of maybe trying to make it worse in that way than that movie, they might fall foul of a lot of things today. It would be interesting to see how that would play out.
Yeah. It's all like, again, but then having said that, you know, look at like Ryan said, look who's behind this movie, reportedly behind this movie.
Yeah.
And I know you haven't seen Halloween Kills yet, John, so we're not going to say nothing that's going to spoil that for you. But when you do watch that movie, that director, he does not hold back in that movie. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. So maybe they do have the right man. Maybe they have the right fella that will come in and go, you know what? This is how I'm doing it. I'm going to be as controversial as the original movie. And hopefully he will be.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If you got someone who didn't really care less, I mean, I'm not going to say go down like Lars von Trier route, but you know, Lars von Trier, he'll put anything out that he ever thinks, and you just think, I can't believe what I'm saying. And I mean, he might have, actually, when you think about it, he might have done a bit too much of a sort of really, because all his movies are very, how to put them, like doom and gloom, and you know, like there's nothing happy about, not going to be anything happy about The Exorcist, but his movies are so like really, I'm trying to think of the word now, when somebody picks out this like so doer.
Well,
he's a doer bloke, but I just think that maybe he might have got to this part, because have you ever seen the movie Dancer in the Dark with Bjork?
No, I know of the movie. I know it well.
God. Yeah, I mean, he sort of really ruined Bjork in that movie, because he demanded some stuff, very uncompromising stuff. So for me, I'm not saying he's going to say he's going to do it, of course, but somebody with that viewpoint might actually pull it off.
And here's another thing as well for you, because he got John Carpenter back as well to do the music for Halloween.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So would he actually ask Mike Oldfield to come in and do a revamp of Tubular Bells, maybe? Do something.
You never know, you know.
That'd be great, wouldn't it? I think that'd be incredible. I'd love to see Mike Oldfield come back and do another rendition of it. And that's so it'd be kind of
still going.
Yeah.
So that's a good point, actually, because we haven't talked about the music, but the music, my God, isn't that just a theme for themes? It's like it's right up there with Halloween, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's just incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
If you're seeing that in the Exorcist, like the scene, like where you see like the location and everything, like when you first introduced, you hear that music for the first time, you know.
Oh yeah.
Dun, dun,
yeah. You
have that feeling like, oh, you know, this is gonna go down a really bad route, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna get worse. It's like, and it does. It's just like that.
Yeah.
It makes you feel, it makes you try to feel ill. It's like if you ever saw that film in the cinema, which is like, it's even mad out the cinema, because I've actually seen it. And listen to the music, it's like, it actually made us a little bit, like, you know, uneased, that kind of way. Because that's what it does, because that's like, because due to like the music and the scenes and stuff they saw at the cinema, because many people actually I think fainted when I actually saw that back in '73, and a lot of things happened in '73, like when I found out, and it's like going into the cinema, like people fainted. I think some people had really bad anxiety of it. They were actually scared of the film. I was like, I think it's because of that music. It just like absolutely shocked them. Plus the visuals as well, like
absolutely.
But the music would have really shocked the audience, and it would.
Oh, that's like, look, I think people kind of forget sometimes how important music is in movies. Could you imagine what movies would be like if you didn't have music in them? It would be it would be shocking. But having said that, it is amazing though, and we've spoken about this before. I think myself and my fiance have said it a lot of times. Why is it today we can't get these memorable theme songs that we used to get? Like when you think of horrors, you have Exorcism, you have Tubular Bells, you've got Halloween theme, you got the Psycho theme, the Nightmare on Elm Street theme, Friday the 13th. All you knock it on, you like that, exactly what the film is.
Well,
you
Jaws.
Of course, Jaws.
Yeah, I mean, there's and I think we were actually talking about this before, Ryan, about the fact that for a certain period of time, Carpenter was just nailing everything he put his music to. When you went to the cinema and you sat down for the next John Carpenter film, knowing he'd done a few decent films in the early 80s, you went to see The Fog, and you went to see Escape from New York, and you were literally thinking, how is he going to top that music from the last film? Because they're coming out every single year, and he was doing it, and you were coming away and you were humming the tune and all that, and he set the movie up. I think as well, The Exorcist, if you get some really weird, unnerving movie music like it did do, it set you up, like Ryan was saying, for the fact that you're not in for an easy ride here. Like, even though nothing's happened at that point, there's something coming because the music is saying, this is going to get into your skin, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly, because like when you listen to that music, you literally just don't know. Like, is somebody like grab you like behind your seat, that kind of thing? You have that feeling. Like, are you going to literally jump out of your chair just like that? Woo!
Yeah.
That's the feeling you want.
It's creepy. It's a creepy theme.
That's the way movies are gone today. I've noticed this now. This whole thing with horrors as well, because like you said, you have the music, and the music is pulling you along as well, and it's basically saying to you, like John says, something is coming, something is happening, and the music is taking you there. And it's becoming almost like it's a thing now with movies. I've noticed with horror movies today where they're trying that. The music is trying to pull the scene forward, and you're like, okay, something happened, and then something doesn't happen. That's the way they're kind of gone with films. I've noticed they're doing that. It's a bit kind of it's almost like a cliche now, a bit where do you remember like in the 80s where the mirror scene, where someone would close the mirror and all of a sudden someone would be behind you.
Yeah.
Where nowadays when they show that mirror, all of a sudden there's no one there. And that's becoming now a bit of a gimmick. It is, and I think they really have to stop it.
Yeah,
it gets done to death, doesn't it? Some of these things when you have them. You see, the thing is with The Exorcist, probably everything on it was kind of like a bit of a first, and it's been done to death a million times now. But at the time, I can't think. If you said to me, what influenced The Exorcist in the way of a film, I couldn't think of anything.
Exactly. Because it was something that you haven't seen before, right? Because you're not gonna know, like not everyone was gonna know it was based on a book, because literally could have just been like a written screenplay, that kind of thing. It could have just been written, and then probably because like now you probably find more information about The Exorcist. It was like it was written like as a book, but it was also based on the true story as well. Absolutely. The book's actually loosely based, but it's inspired by the story. Well, right, and that's what great you bring. It's telling a different story. See, in the book could be different. That's the thing. Well, the movie is just a screenplay written by the actual writer. Made it a different kind of film for people to see on the big screen. You're going to see something, and that's what's great. You're telling a different kind of story. That's what. If you want to read a different story like the original Exorcist book, you're going to be also in a thrill ride, but it just depends. Like, would you rather read the book because if it's much better, you like that story more, or do you like the movie? That's what's so great, because different stories, you get more out of it, and you get different differences. which endings like better in certain things.
Aye.
You know what I mean? If it's okay, can I ask a couple of questions? Like,
Sure.
like
If you
certain
can.
kind of stuff. Right, the first time when you saw that, the famous stay scene where she goes crawling down the stairs, like when the director's cut came out, because it wasn't in the theatrical, wasn't it? It was took out.
No,
Like
No.
once the director's cut, like I think it was on like DVD or whatever when it came out.
it was the DVD. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you
Yeah.
saw that scene for the first time, did you jump anywhere, or did it make you feel like unease, that kind of thing? Because you never saw like that.
Yeah, I honestly, the first thing I said when I seen it was probably one of the most. It'll be up there at one of the most disturbing scenes in the movie. And the first thing I instantly thought of was, why was this cut out of it?
Sorry?
Mm.
Why cut out something so? Even now, the thought of it's just terrifying the way it's done. It is. That was the first thing. That was the first thought came into my head. I was like, I remember hearing about that scene, but never actually seen it. But everyone knew about it.
Mhm.
And sometimes when you hear about these, like kind of like that film, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it was banned for so long here.
Yeah.
And then when you finally see, I got to finally see it. The first thing you kind of go is, why was this film banned? I don't get it.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought was going to happen with that spider walk scene. I thought when I was going to see it, I was going to go like, why was everyone talking about this scene? But my God,
So
mental.
The way
It's extraordinary.
The way it's like you're like a back, like crawling down the stairs.
Absolutely amazing.
Like so that one, see there, right? There's no way that was it would have been someone like those like really good gymnastics, that kind of thing, you would say.
Yeah.
That's the only time they would normally use a stunt double, like something like that, because you're not going to get the last to go all the way down. It's literally like that would be torture for her. So look at the right person, the right size. The play the character in that very scene. Yeah, you're in for a treat for that time. But the reason is, like as you said, Keith, why was the hell it was cut out? It would have made it more unnerving. That's kind of thing.
Well, it does.
It does.
That's the best thing, because I actually thought, like when I saw it for the first time, like when I watched them when I was a kid, so I shouldn't have watched it. Well, of course I'm going to watch it, but everyone's watched it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was. I remember. I'll never forget that day. I remember picking the DVD up and everything. And again, it was all over the DVD that this was in this scene. The legendary scene was put back in.
Yeah.
Wow, I will never forget that day. Incredible.
Exactly, because like see me, I never bought the DVD. I watched it online. That kind of thing.
Right.
Not when like everything. When everything was like going. Like bootlegs, that kind of stuff. When bootlegs was around, because now you can literally get anything offline these days. But it's like sometimes.
That's why again, a lot of people asked me before about it was only just recently someone said it to me in a comment section. Someone said, "Why would you get rid of your DVDs?" And as for that reason alone, I remember the day I bought that film. I remember how I felt when I seen that scene for the first time. And why would I get rid of something that kind of, just reminds me of that? And that's probably why I would never get rid of my stuff. So that was magic. It really was incredible.
And what about you, John? Like when the first time you saw that scene, like did it feel that way, or like some kind
actually, I can more or less like it was basically a carbon copy of what Keith was saying. When he was saying it, I thought, well, that's exactly my experience. But what I found was, I saw The Exorcist a few times. Because obviously I wanted to get it, and I'll show you this, and I've shown you this before. This is my Dutch.
Wow, that's incredible.
That's the Dutch VHS. The only way you could see it, like
unbelievable.
You could get in the video shop, but I think it got taken out and you couldn't find it. So I got this one, 30 quid from Denmark.
Wow.
So I had to see it like that. So anyway, I watched that quite a few times, and that's just the normal cut. So then, of course, when it came out on DVD, they said, they're going to bring out a thing with another thing in it, scene. Now, of course, you were getting magazines like Fangoria and something like that, The Dark Side, and you were seeing pictures still
that's right.
of the spider walk. And you thought, and even you heard the name The Spider Walk before you knew about it, and then you thought, that sounds horrible. You saw this picture of Reagan upside down on the staircase. But I think the main thing for me with that little scene is the fact it's not cranked at the right speed. It's just slightly fast. So it's
Yes.
not even moving right. And you see somebody who's been bent the wrong way around going upside down on a staircase, because it's been possessed. She's been possessed by a demon that's making her do that. It's all kind of, the hairs on your neck, and and I remember, like you say, when you saw it, thinking, well, this will just be one of them scenes where you think, it's a bit of a hoo-ha about nothing, but when you actually physically see it, you feel really creeped out by it. And you quite rightly think that should have never been taken out. Because apparently, William Friedkin said he said that he didn't think it looked very good. He thought the effects were quite rubbish. Well, I might differ myself. I thought it looked really like spooky and odd and creepy, and just even talking about it is a little bit,
I think if they actually perfect it, if he'd actually try and perfect that scene, because he said it wasn't right, it didn't look right, they probably would have harmed it, I think.
No, I think it looked perfect. It looked. Yeah. I tell you what, everyone who sees it gets annoyed by it, and that's job done for me.
So
absolutely.
Like when I went back to it yesterday, because I rented it on Prime Video, because I found out I didn't buy the film for some reason, and so it's a film that I need to get. So that'll be going on when I go to HMV, that kind of stuff. And but when I watched that scene, like, again, because I saw it on the big screen as well, and it's even worse on the big screen. Like, I watched this because I saw the director's cut at the cinema.
Yeah.
And it's like, I watched that very scene on the big screen. I was like, what the hell? I was like, it's even worse, like watching it at the cinema and then watching it on the actual TV screen. I was like, what? I was like, oh, I'm glad I got that experience. And then I had the small screen experience, because it's just like from each time. And that's what's really good. And like, I'm talking about like the speed of the actual, spider crawling down the stairs, right? That must have been some really good like effects right there. Not just to speed up the program. You can literally tell that is going to be slow going down those stairs. There's no way that's literally going to be go run faster. You'll literally fall down the stairs like that. But I'm glad they speeded that scene up, because they would have done like a bit editing, like when the film came out, before the director's film came out on the DVD. There we go. And that's what's really good about it. And then, and what, as you said, John, saying that it's like, I said, saying like the director called it tatty, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It just feels like, I know it could have been tatty like Batman. Like, not everyone's gonna like, oh, it's a really bad scene. But I'm glad it got released like back during like when it came out at the right time, like when the movie started to get more praise. It just felt much better, and that's what great.
Yeah. I think the film should always be remembered as, we shouldn't. It shouldn't be seen as the director's cut. That should be the film. I think that's shocking not to have that scene in it, and I hope that if they do bring it out which is going to happen anyway, when we're going to get a 4K release of it. I hope
it's definitely next year the 4K. It's got to be next year 4K.
It has to. The anniversary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So just put it in. Just put the scene in and get rid of this director's cut rubbish. It just belongs in the movie.
Yes. Yeah. I know what you mean.
Basically, like the whole thing is just a couple of seconds going down the stairs. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, it's pretty added in. Get rid of this, like the standard Blu-ray like that you got now, right? And just change it. Look, it's just The Exorcist. Just stick the scene in. You're done. Just like that.
Yeah.
You completed it.
I find I don't watch the regular cut of The Exorcist anymore. Once I saw the Spiderwalk scene in that version, then that's my version now.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back the other one, because I think I would always be wanting to see the Spiderwalk scene.
Well, exactly.
There's a few films like that. I'm kind of like even with Aliens, I could never watch Aliens without watching the extra 18 minutes or 17 minutes they put back in.
Well, exactly.
Like, it's not like some of the scenes are not that important, but a lot of them I found to be incredibly important, and I could never watch the film any other way. Just like as well, there was another film that came into The Abyss.
The Abyss.
The title wave sequence of that, like, unbelievably cut out. It's just incredible. It
was a whole sort of storyline, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't cut out, was it? It was. He just Well, am I right in saying that he went back and he reshot the scene and then he put it into a special edition or something like that? Would that be right?
Well, I think that the whole to have that ending, they had to take like a stream out of the movie,
Yeah.
and that's to make that start happening. It's going to like they're going to stop the tidal wave from killing the world and all that. But
Yeah.
I do know when I saw that full version, I thought, well, that's the version I want to see now because it made more sense.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
I know it's a long film, but if it worked, then keep it in. I'll tell you what, though, I'm going to say that, you know how they went back and sort of slightly rejigged the sort of the features of some of the films with a little bit of sort of CGI tomfoolery. What did you think about those bits? Because personally, I thought, especially when Reagan's sitting on the chair and she sort of looks up at the fella, and it just, the face changes very slightly right at the last minute before she goes from him. I thought that is really creepy. And so for me, a lot of people say, oh, they shouldn't have messed about with the face. They shouldn't have put subliminal messages into the walls and all that. I think it really suits the film. Personally.
No, I think it does. I think it does. I agree. That scene, just like you said as well, is just as memorable, I think, as the spider walk. That scene where you see just a subtle change,
just a tiny little change, and you just think, oh my god, what? It's just all these things. They'll just freak you out for that split second. You just
absolutely.
It's not a big thing happening. It's just amazing how they can do it with just a small little look of somebody's like features for 2 seconds, and that's the mastery of this film, I feel.
Absolutely.
Next question, as I said, like during like the whole like I'm trying to think of the scene now. Mind me. Because like when like Priest Damien Karras meets Reagan for the first time, and then put out as just like psychiatrist, that kind of thing. When it goes in and talks about, like you say like that, like do you think Damien Karras, do you think that Reagan was like putting it on, or do you think he starts to believe that she is actually possessed? Like, what do you think around that?
I think personally, I think it's happening at the same time he's doubting even his faith. Exactly. So he's struggling with all this, and then if he was like truly believing, in everything that he believed in Christianity, he might have got it straight away. But I think he's kind of he's not like a pure priest would have says, right, I know exactly what's happening here, but I think because he's kind of struggling to know what he's all about, his identity, I think he's at a point where he's not really too sure what to believe, and I think that mixes him up a little touch, and I think that it sets it off on a good little pace, because he doesn't come in immediately and go, oh yeah, exorcism, get it done.
No,
yes, we're out of here. It's got to get to that because of this kind of strange thing that he's got going on with the fact he doesn't want to believe anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what adds to that as well. Because that's probably why they introduced that into his character, that lack of faith. Because, like you said, if it was just a priest that didn't have the issues that he had in this movie, straight away would have went, you would have seen all the red flags, and and then we wouldn't have had a movie.
Very short movie.
And also, like during the scene, we also mentioned that the only way to perform an exorcism is to get proof to the church, like evidence, that kind of thing. Because you always got to get that, because you just don't know. Because like she could have just been like, has a bit like schizophrenia, that kind of stuff. Like going insane. She could have easily just made herself ill, that kind of thing. Made it look that way, but seeing the development of Damien Karras' character, he's losing his faith, and he's going to try and go on doing some more things, try to be a psychiatrist. Like it makes him think like, does he think that continuing as a priest is more his thing, or is it just wants to fade away and get on with his life? But due to the whole moment with his mother and that kind of stuff, because when Reagan mentioned that, like there's something wrong going just right there, and he's starting to believe that is it true? Like what Reagan is saying, or the devil, whoever, so Pazuzu.
Pazuzu, yeah.
I remember. Is it Reagan who's saying it, or is it him? That's the thing, because it's meant to give you like a psychological kind of theme in that scene. That's
Well,
what.
that's an interesting point, I feel, Ryan, because the fact is that he doesn't really. I don't know if he knows what to think, but as soon as the Reagan mentions about his mother, that's when he sort of clicks and thinks, this is the real McCoy. This is not.
That's it.
This is not
That's
a child playing jokes. This is exactly what I think it is. And I think it takes. And I think for the whole time, this Pazuzu has just been playing with him, just it's treating him like not like a real priest, because he actually wasn't a real priest at that point. He was sort of just floundering. So I think it was only really when that's happened, then he sort of took it to say, right, this has got to be addressed. This, and that's when he got Marilyn, and that's when it kind of starts. I think that Pazuzu knew that he was on the run because he was going to get exercised.
Exactly. Because like when the whole like Pazuzu thing gets introduced, because like at the first I never knew the actual demon was called Pazuzu. Later on, like probably would say like when I found it online, like his name never really showed up in the film. Like you do have those quick glimpses of what the character looks like, but it's like when I watched it, I never saw that scene because I don't know if they took it out or not. But yeah, because the last time I was like, sorry, I remember the scene. I remember that being in. So that being the theoretical cut. So so that must where it is, and they must have took it out. I was like, I'm a bit confused here because I remember during the whole exorcism scene, I see images of the actual demon. You know, you actually do. But when I watched the director's cut, it's just literally like, where's the demon gone? There's literally little shots of the demon, what he looks like. Yeah. It's basically some guy with face paint on it. It's basically what it is. And it's so creepy, and that was so good. But they took it out, and that's what the worst thing what they've done. Like so if you want to go back and see those scenes, you've got to go back to the free article. Just watch that whole scene. It's absolutely ridiculous. But if they'd done it, they made it more creepier and focused more on Reagan. I get where they're going with this, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't really be took out. That's the thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the subliminal flashes in the movie. Just that little quick flash on the screen. I'll tell you what, I was going to say, actually, have you seen the trailer for The Exorcist? The one that's just the black and white one. And it's just got a face on it, just sort of going around. I think it's one of the creepiest trailers I've ever seen.
Right, I can't remember it now, but I'm sure I've seen it.
It's really unnerving. If you saw that, if you were at the cinema and you were seeing the latest James Bond film in 1973, what's it called? Live and Let Die.
Yeah.
And he's and you're sitting there and you think, oh, now coming up is The Exorcist, and you thought, I bet that's a trailer would have freaked you out.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's like a trailer I'd never seen before.
I remember, it kind of reminds me of, just when you said that, I remember, I don't know if you remember the film at all, John or Ryan yourself. There's a film back in the 80s called Visiting Hours.
Yes.
Do you remember the trailer for that?
Yeah.
So I tried to get that trailer for the longest. I tried to get that film for the longest time. We couldn't get it over here because I wanted it instantly for that trailer. The lights going off and on and off in the hospital, and all of a sudden it forms the shape of like a skull.
Yeah.
And you can imagine how devastating I was when I bought the film and the scene wasn't even in it.
Wasn't in it? Yeah.
I was devastated. I was sick. I was.
That was very misleading.
Great trailer.
Well, when you saw that first, the whole exorcism scene for the first time, like, did you feel like something? Did it feel like like you feel afraid, or did you like feel like you're aware like what is about to go on? Like, are you feel like something bad is going to happen to like one of the priests, that kind of thing? Well, which does actually happen?
Yeah.
But like, did you ever think like both of them were going to go with it, or do you think or both of them could have died in that very scene?
No, I knew one of the priests wasn't going to make it out. I remember seeing it for the first time. I instantly knew that the God, his name was going out of my head again. Malai, is that what's his name?
Merrill.
Sorry. Yeah, I instantly knew he wasn't ever going to make it out because I kind of figured because they spoke about they kind of briefly talked about his first encounter with this thing, and he survived. Oh, he barely survived it.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew that when and you seen his health all during the movie. When he came into the end, particularly the end of it, you kind of knew that there was no way he was ever going to get out of this. But he was going to go out swinging.
Yes.
And I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was very clever and all that. And I remember just seeing that.
Sorry, Keith, to interrupt, but I kind of feel that Merrill thought, I think he knew it was the end when he walked through that door. He knew that was the last thing he was going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. And that's, I remember thinking that the first time. I thought that the priest, the other priest was always going to find his faith. You know, and then it was, you know, then we got the inevitable death that we got in it.
Well, exactly, because the scene, like the guy with Reagan and the Daniel Carr's the priest, you know, the way he attacked her, you know what I mean? Because like basically transforms into his dead mother, that would have really knocked him up, you know. He's like really angry. He just grabs her, starts punching her, that kind of stuff, and not trying to get the demon out. And he basically wants to save Reagan, you know, get her fit. It's because he doesn't want to lose anyone else. And that was so great, like what they did there. Literally, the demon passes on into Damien, and literally, like he was about to take over. You see the makeup on Damien himself, and it's just so great. And the best thing he's done, flies out the window, straight down those famous steps, and literally, I'm saying he's dead. That's the way.
No, that's. I was just about to say that. You see, I fell into that trap there just a second ago, because I instantly turned around and I said that because we've seen the sequels.
Yeah.
You know, that's now when you do watch the movie, that Exorcist, I think he's dead as well.
Exactly.
I know you do see him. He's clutches onto your man's hand at the end of the priest's. Is it the priest? Yeah, you do see him clutching on it, and he is still moving. But when you do look at the state of him, I honestly don't think he survived it. That's the way. But then I fell into that trap because we had our sequels.
Yeah, the number 3, like where you think he's dead till you verse. Like in my opinion, like when I found out, right, when I watched Exorcist 3, right, I actually thought the priest was still dead, right, you know.
Yeah.
I put the Arrow video on, watched the very article cut, and I was watching like he's still alive. I was like, but the best thing is because that's when they introduced like the whole like Brad Dourif scenes, didn't they? Because the policeman thought like he saw Damien, but it could have also been the actual serial killer who was actually
absolutely
with the Gemini, like with the Zodiac and the Gemini killer, that kind of thing. What it is, and but that's what you think. But then you find out it actually is Damien, right? But because there's another cut of the film, isn't there? Because you got the Legion cut, and that's
right.
Yeah, because it tells like a different that was meant to be the director's proper cut, because I haven't seen that version yet. I've only seen like the original one, and because like both, it's the same film, but it's different. It's not actually Damien telling the policeman to get shot. The shot here. Yeah. It's actually he actually, like, you know, his mind was like basically, because of the paranoia and all that kind of stuff. He shoots Brad Dourif instead. That's what I already know this, but that's the whole thing. But going back to the Exorcist, because we're moving away from the actual topic we're talking about, it's basically like that scene, like where everyone thought he was actually dead. As you say, Keith, you say he was still moving, saying he wasn't dead. You know what I mean? And basically, that could have just ended right there. You're just never fun. It leaves you thinking. That's where it should have gone, and then try and take the franchise into a different way. But because due to like Exorcist 3 when that came out, because that was also directed by the actual writer of the book as well. And if he was telling his story, saying that he's still alive, but what I've heard, it was meant to be more different in the book. What I've heard.
Okay.
So basically, the only reason he did this is to like bring fans of the Exorcist back, that kind of thing. Because like, when the 90s, like everyone would have gotten on the whole like John Carpenter stuff, that kind of stuff they would have been watching. But like when the Exorcist was on, they would have saw Exorcist 3. So that, because
Yes.
not everyone's going to see in the original Exorcist because there wasn't shown that much, as I said. So they would have known Exorcist 3 when that came out. And would have thought, like, yeah, this is the Exorcist. But the thing is, with Exorcist 3, it's totally different. It's not really an Exorcist film. It has Exorcist. It's mainly like a detective story kind of way. That's what the whole story's meant to be. Like, pieces going missing, getting killed, that kind of stuff. And seeing that, but like in my opinion, like what I thought where it was going, I would have thought like it's just got to do something about cults, that kind of thing. Respect, you know, praying the pursuit, that kind of thing until I saw the ending. And it's just like it goes a different way. But I thought that could have just been called Legion to make it. It is still an Exorcist universe, but it's different. But seeing The Exorcist is a brilliant standalone film, like where it should have been. Right, it just worked so well until the sequel came out. But we'll forget about that. It doesn't go anywhere, and it's a failed sequel. And
no, I was just thinking there, like the only thing that kind of bothers me with The Exorcist is when you do watch that. Then don't get me wrong, the end sequence is powerful. It's incredibly done. It's incredibly shot. But it does feel like that all they had to do is come into that room at the start of the movie and just start beating the shit over. And it just would have jumped. You know what I mean? Like that's, let's face it, at the end of it, the exorcism failed. It's only when he grabbed her and then he started, hitting her and all that. All of a sudden, it jumped out. He was like, "Oh, screw this! I want to get the hell out of this."
Well, if you think about it, though, the demon Pizzazzo has picked the perfect host because who's gonna like lay about a young girl? So it was kind of hiding in the best place, really. And she'd be the last person to get a good hiding. A lot of people would get it before that if it went into a grown man or a grown woman. And
absolutely.
I think that makes it even better. I tell you, one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I think it's the most creepiest one, and there's nothing in it. There's not really. I don't think there's any music in it. Is when Reagan's on the bed and he's talking about his mother, and then he's walking on the bed, and then for a split second, maybe for about 3 seconds, his mother's on the bed looking at him. And I'll just look at that, and I think that is one of my favorite and most like not shocking scenes, but like I wasn't expecting it, and it really unnerved us. And it was creepy as hell, and just that little scene, and I thought, wow, I've got loads of favorite scenes in the movie, but that's my standout scene for me.
Yeah, it's funny you said that because it's actually one of mine as well. I remember, and it just puts the chills up you.
I don't know why it does it, but it does it.
Yeah, it's just her. It's just the way she's looking. And like you said, there's no music,
no nothing,
and there's nothing there. It's just, it's just this thing that just happens, and like you said, it's unexpected. And even now when I'm thinking about it, I'm kind of like looking behind me. It's a chilling scene. It really is.
Well, let's say because like if you see from like that famous scene like where she just like turns her head around backward.
Yeah,
because you got that scene. Plus you also see like when you see the pair of scissors that you find, it starts like it's horrible, that scene. No, they just stabs herself in like. I'm going to say our privates just a bit, and you see like the blood and all that kind of stuff. Oh my god, it's horrible. It's like
it's one thing to do that scene, but then to do it with a crucifix
is
another thing altogether.
No,
it's
you would have thought. Sorry, if there was like somebody say there's like I don't know if there's a person standing off camera, maybe looking at something and looking and saying that this is too much. That's too much. I could imagine that they must have had this big discussion about that scene to say, can we really do this scene? Is it feasible, or will we get like the book thrown at her?
That's what I'm saying. Like it's one thing to have her like, if she was doing it with like, like I don't know, like a blade or something like that. But it was the thought of that scene was already bad. But then, like I said, to put a crucifix, it's. You don't see many scenes like that in film, and you definitely won't see it again.
I don't think you will.
I think so. Because like when you hear that catchphrase in that actual that movie quote that you hear in that scene, you want to know what she did, you cunting daughter, I was like,
Mm,
what? I was like,
yeah.
imagine she actually said that in like if the last actually said that, and she would have been, but she could like learn all these swear words on the set, and she could have literally been saying them all throughout the whole.
Yeah.
But look,
Well, you didn't hear that type of language in a film at that time anyway.
No.
no,
I think that might,
No.
I don't know if that was the first time that was ever used, but it might have been one of the first times. I'll tell you what was really strange, going really off topic, was the fact that that was in Saturday Night Fever, because when you see Saturday Night Fever on the telly, it used to be
Right.
like, it used to have all these like overdubs of this thingy.
Yeah.
Swear words. But apparently obviously when it came out in its proper form, maybe for home media, they just put it out as the 18 version. And I think people were stunned to hear all these C-bombs in this movie, and you're going, wow.
Yeah.
So I think The Exorcist would have broken a few. I mean, it would be interesting to see who's the first movie ever to put that in a movie, but it could have been The Exorcist, but it's not. It was extreme. Everything about it is extreme.
John, it's still very extreme.
Yes, of course it is.
Me and Ellen in this house now, we would never use the word. I don't think we've ever used the word. I can't even say it, to be honest.
right.
But it's so controversial. That word alone, about that film was a film of firsts. It had the first of everything. It didn't. So
it said it, but it's funny because you get loads of copycats, and you get every movie that you get is successful or good. People are copycat it. I mean, the Italian market's renowned for that. They did loads of Exorcist rip-offs in the 70s in the Italian market, and they're all hopeless. They don't have a patch on this. And I think there was a Mario Bava film called Beast and the Devil, I think it was called. But what they did was they went and recut it, and they made it in called House of the Exorcism. And what they did was they got the star. It wasn't Britt Eklund, but it was somebody like that, and she was told to say all this like coarse language for the rest of the film, like with the sort of reshot the ending of it, and that she got it to be possessed in it. And when she was saying all this stuff, it sounded. I mean, Mario Bava didn't like it, but he was forced into doing it, and also the stuff that she was saying. It just sounds ludicrous because you can tell she's trying to say the worst kind of swearing and just go on and on about it. And you think, it's like a pale comparison. So even though that's extreme in The Exorcist, it's not. It's used at the right times, and there's a lot of it, but it's not overused to the point of like say like what's it called? Like trying to think that movie, the Eddie Murphy movie, Beverly Hills Cop, which was like every other word, and people are like, "What the hell is this?" But this was, I think, it was used correctly. But wow,
I still find me and Ellen when we're watching movies and all that, and that word does get used.
Yeah,
I always find the two of us always react the same. We always look at each other like, it's still today. It's still you're like, oh, jeez, don't use that. It's still very controversial. Just going back, sorry, there's something I want to ask as well. You were just saying about Italian horror movies and them trying to rip off The Exorcist.
Yeah,
I have a film here by Arrow. Now I'm sure you'll know it. I'm just trying to find it, and I just have this weird feeling that apparently it was supposed to be an Exorcist rip-off, but I haven't watched it. And
the white box one.
No, it's not a white box one. I got a limited edition of it. I'm trying to find it. I'm nearly sure I bought it. I'm just looking up my collection. I can't find it. Oh my God, I do have it, but I can't bloody see it.
Right.
I can't see it. It's. I remember buying it. It was a limited edition from Arrow. It was in one of them, the hardened boxes.
Oh,
and I remember someone saying that it was just a blatant exorcism ripoff.
Yeah, they don't work.
No, I need to just check the name of that. Sorry. My God, I still can't see it.
Get some glasses.
Beyond the Door.
Oh yes, Beyond the Door.
Yeah, I think someone told me it's supposed to be a blatant.
I've heard a lot of bad things about that movie. I reckon it was really trash. Like,
I haven't got around to watching it, so I might. Again, it depends on the mood I'm in.
Actually, to go off topic a tiny bit, the recent Arrow version Shock which is Beyond the Door 2, right? But I don't know why it's that. This is a kind of a little bit of a possession movie as well. I was really not expecting the movie I got. It's really good, really good,
Right.
and it's got. It's not trying to be The Exorcist. It's a Mario Bava film again. It was the last film actually. It's not trying to be an Exorcist ripoff, but it's a kind of, I would say, it's a good possession movie without trying to be an Exorcist movie, which you don't really get. So it's very worth a watch. The shock, much better. Than I thought. I didn't know anything about it, which is another thing. So I was quite spooked out by some parts in it, actually.
Well, I need to keep an eye on that then, because I do love my possession movies. You don't see too many good ones out there. Like the likes of Amateur.
This is all right. The acting in it's quite good, and some of the little things that happen in it are a bit whoa, So
okay, I'll keep an eye out for that.
It's Arrow, so it's a beautiful presentation as well. Obviously,
of course.
Also, just to mention about the characters, was there any characters that really annoyed you in the film, or was every character all right?
There's
I don't know.
One character that I kind of annoyed me a bit. I'm not gonna lie, was the investigator, the cop in it.
Oh, the cop. Oh, he's just randomly there for some reason, and he just like shows up, and I was like, why is he here?
Yeah,
like
he seems he's portrayed very clumsy, and he's investigating this, and it's I never quite talked to him. It's probably why, John, you didn't even mention. You were just saying at the start of the video that you had these branching stories. I just found that his character.
I don't think his narrative story didn't really have a point in the end.
Yes,
I found everyone else had their position in the movie, whereas he was a bit. Why was that a thing?
Well, basically, the cop was just there just to fill in the gaps, really. They're missing little. Yeah, I was like, why is he doing a police investigation anyway, right? I know there was like one of the psychiatrists ended up getting shot at, I think, falling down the steps, like as you heard. It is because that's mentioned. Like, because like no, it wasn't a psychiatrist. It was actually someone who was like actually looking after Reagan now. That's who it was. He ends up going down the stairs, and that's when the investigation is actually taking place now. It's about him. That's why it's that's why it's there, because he thinks like it says, did someone actually murder him? Was it Reagan who found out? He could have done like anything. Why you just don't know, right? That's the thing.
I think they just picked up on it. I just think it's filler. It's just that's what it is. It's just to fill in a bit of time. Yeah. Because it doesn't. If there's. You could watch that movie without him in it, and I think the movie would go by just fine. Yeah,
you're right, actually. Yeah, I do get that.
Totally.
Yeah, there's a character in it for me. He's the bloke who plays he's like a drunk. I don't know what his name is in the actual film, and he's kind of this person who's a friend of the mother, and he plays this sort of a bit boorish character, but. In real life, I think it's called Jack McGowan, and he was in a film called The Fearless Vampire Killers, and he plays a bloke who he's dressed up, and it's like a really weird film. It's a bit like a Hammer film, but it's not.
Yeah.
And it's directed by Roman Polanski, and this Jack McGowan's dressed up like a sort of he looks like Einstein, and for the longest time I never knew it was the same person, because he looks like an old sort of carrot, and his hair's all over the place. And he's got this huge nose. And he talks with this Romanian accent, and the film's like a comedy, really, but it's like a vampire movie. It's an excellent movie. It's got Sharon Tate in it, who was obviously murdered by the Manson family. So it's really a really good film. And but after knowing that, when I went back and saw the film after knowing he was in that movie being so good, I had a different take on that fella, because I knew how good an actor he was. At first he did used to get me nervous, but after knowing who he was and that, I think he died immediately after the film.
Wow.
There you go. So at a young age. And and that's, I think Ryan was talking about the fact that there was a little bit of, that's happening where people, I think, did George C. Scott, did he not die quite soon after that as well?
Yeah, that's right.
No, that was George C. It was the other fella, sorry, who played the original. Get them mixed up there.
Yeah.
He died, didn't he? The original.
The original
investigator.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the original.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, Alan.
Yeah, because like that sort of thing, because the film was was announced as a cursed film, right?
Yeah.
There's all this and many things will happen on set, like and behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
It's like talking about like how that the original person who was going to play the investigator suddenly died. Like I didn't know. Was it due to normal causes or was it like due to like suicide, that kind of thing? You just don't know.
I think it was I think maybe a heart attack. I don't think it was anything untoward in it, but I think that Jack McGowan, I think he died of he was quite young. I think he just died of like I think it was bad living. I think it was like liver damage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think.
Because
I think that the whole background of that movie, I think it's all just very, very coincidental. It's just very bad timing, and unfortunately, it helped that movie in a way. It brought people out more, brought more people to to go see it, to go out and see it, because it's the controversy that surrounded it.
The word of mouth, the word of mouth would have got out and says, "Oh, the people died in this," and they probably would have put more people in that died in it than actually did die in it.
Well,
and I think we're talking about the fact that Linda Blair was allegedly meant to be in real life, went to a lunatic asylum after it, which she didn't. But that's what I thought for a long time after that. In fact, I think she just ended up in the lunatic asylum.
Like you also found out because like also behind the scenes, like like find out like the audio like the guy who's like the nurse, that kind of thing. You guys were talking before.
Oh yes,
like in that scene, like where
radiographer, I think
the radiographer, and basically sticking like the tube there so she can keep breathing, right? He was actually found out he was actually killed his own I think it was his fiance or girlfriend, whatever she was living with. I found out he murdered her, and then I think he ended up either getting arrested or I think he got, unless he killed himself, that kind of thing. There was something around that. And so when I first found out, I was like, what the hell? Because I was watching the, I think there was a series called Cursed Films on Amazon Prime on the Shudder side, like option. I was watching that. I was like, bloody hell. A murderer in an actual horror film. I was like,
I remember hearing that. Yeah.
It's like it's just weird.
I wouldn't mind everything that happens in that movie. I was actually only just reading up about this recently, but all the scenes that happen in that movie, everything that's so controversial. Apparently, it was that scene where she was getting the cush.
Oh yeah.
That was the scene that apparently they really fought against getting removed. That apparently it was too real looking. It was, and they instantly want to cut out of the movie. Oh, there was huge campaigns to get that removed.
Really?
It was. It's amazing, isn't it? When you actually, it's like this little scene of nothing, and then you watch everything else that's in the movie, and no, we want to get this removed. It's very very odd.
That's a bit of a weird level. That's a weird thing to take umbrage against when you think of what was to come. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. It's strange.
Plus, there was on-set fires, weren't there? I think there was on-set fires, and certain scenes. I think it was like on the outside or inside, something like that.
Wasn't it something where there was something to do with the place where they were filming the scene where there was like nearly a riot when I think she was like reporting something, and something happened at that scene, which was a lightning strike, or was it something which really messed that scene up, and it was to do with
remember that.
Yeah,
I literally remember, because I thought it was like because during the lightning strike, you're literally lightning can actually set things on fire as well.
Oh yeah.
Really sharp, took a tree, boom, you got fire. So it would have been like a couple of fires. Was like got around the set that they were filming on. So basically, they must have called like a whole lot of fire trucks, fire department. The police would have been sure they ambulances, like that kind of stuff, right? But there's so many like cursed things about the film and all that kind of stuff, because it absolutely affected Linda Blair so badly, as you said. It is rumored that she was in a mental institution, but reason is she still could have like had a really bad childhood from that film, and she was growing up, because people would have like mentioned like all of this to her, and that would have actually affected her childhood, and everything could have went bad. That's the thing. She was always
It could have messed her up massively. Yeah.
Yeah, because
I
like
think how many? That's what I'm saying. I think you had I think what happened. Yeah, them stories. Some of them stories that came off the set of that movie, and I think then what happened was then you start getting the rumors that were going around. And I think I wouldn't be one bit surprised that all came out from the studio itself. I think that they realized, oh wait a minute, we don't even have to market this movie. We just can start off and spread a pile of rumors, and this was going to bring butts to the seats. And I think that's what happened because, you would not believe the amount of things that happens in the film. Like even Aliens, when you watch the making of Aliens, the amount of stuff that happened in that movie, where the cast and everything nearly died in it. But they weren't using it. They weren't using it as a marketing tool, to sell it. And I think that's what they were doing with the Exorcism.
Well, it's the same with the Poltergeist as well. The Poltergeist, because of the fact that the movie had a lot of unfortunate incidents.
Yeah, because
the fact is, if you're shooting a horror film or a spooky film and something happens in it, you always say that's because of the movie you're shooting. If it happens in, say, James Bond, people, stuntmen get killed all the time in the James Bond movies, never say, that's because the devil's in that James Bond film. It doesn't get even thought about. It's a nothing better if you make a horror film and anything goes wrong. It's because the devil's in it. So it's, but it did. You could be right that if a marketing campaign is going to be set up and you think, hang on, we can get some free press out of this by just saying, everything went wrong and people were dying all over the place, and I even adding stuff on and said, young girls in lunatic asylum now, and I think it would have. Well, no publicity is bad publicity.
There we go.
Yep,
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
It was the same, when when you found out that Brandon Lee died. Ended up getting shot on the whole set of The Crow. That would have brought people in to say, just to respect them, that kind of thing. But remember, when there was, because I think it was a couple of months ago, that the whole Alec Baldwin thing, right? That same thing. The gun wasn't actually supposed to be loaded with actual, I think it was loaded with actual ammo. Which it was, and it's I didn't know. He was still the one who shot him, but who the hell have I fucking loaded the fucking gun when it was supposed to be fucking door fucking pellets or what the hell it's supposed to be using?
Yeah.
It's just stupid. It's if that didn't happen, right? Which Brandon Lee could have still been here, but it was actually a last in this situation. I think the whole family's trying to I think sue the company, but I think they're trying to sue Alec as well because he was the one who shot him. But the thing is, Alec, he didn't even know there was actual real ammo, that kind of thing, unless it was but
he wouldn't have known about that. It was a total accident on his part. A tragic accident.
That's going to destroy him. I think
he's never going to get over that.
I don't think he's going to be the same.
No, exactly.
After I really don't. How could you be?
Well, so it's going to be absolutely hard for him to find work after this. What happened?
Well, in all fairness, there, Ryan, if that's the case, then the studios themselves should be bloody ashamed of themselves.
Well, exactly.
Because it was absolutely nothing to do with him, and the thought of even blaming him is absolutely ludicrous. It is. It's crazy. And I feel sorry for the fella. I really do. Well, especially when you hear some of the shit that come out about him, it's garbage.
It's safe because it's the same because it happened on the set of The Crow with Brandon Lee, right? He's still a true legend. He's still a really good. He was actually amazing at acting. The performance that he brought from The Crow is just amazing.
Yeah.
Even though there was only I think they were nearly finished filming at the time. I think they were only had filming left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They was actually got killed. It's I didn't know this because I didn't watch it when I was probably when I was 15, and that film I was bloody hell. I never knew I knew that he was dead. I know because of Bruce Lee and that kind of stuff, but Brandon Lee, it was just mad. I think he was only 30. I think he must have been 30 in his 30s, at least 30s or something.
I think he's 33.
Same age as his father.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Was he 27? I'm saying, was he 27? I'm just gonna have a check that because I never know.
Because he was born in the same year as my parents. So yeah, it was 65. He was born. I think he was.
Right. Okay.
So
yeah,
it would have been. It must have been 27. Is it like this?
28.
28.
Yeah.
Hell. That is young. That is super young for someone.
But he wasn't even in his prime. He was coming into. He was finding his feet a bit like his dad did, and when his dad made good, that's when he died. And then the same with him, which is it's a tragic thing to think that when you look at the pair of them, you think, well, we haven't seen the best of them two, and you know what could have been when you saw the stuff that we're just basically starting out with, and you thought there's going to be some spectacular stuff coming, and it just never happened.
Yeah. Life is full of them stories. You know, what ifs. You know, like what if River Phoenix didn't die? What if Heath Ledger didn't die?
Exactly.
You know, they were so unbelievably talented, and
right.
Yeah, it's a what if.
So it's like if let's see if Brandon Lee was still alive, we could have seen more better films on the Crow, because he is the Crow, right? He'll always be the Crow, right?
Yeah.
Any other person who played the Crow, like, I'm sorry, but Brandon Lee is the only person who could play that role. I can tell. Like,
well, the studios didn't. The studios didn't even back them. Like, as far as I remember, I'm nearly sure the sequels all went straight to TV, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah. Right? Yeah. It was. Because because they were going to they were going to make a new one, weren't they? Like, but it didn't happen. But the whole thing just didn't happen. And I think I'm glad.
That film is a remake, and I can see it. It's going to be remade, that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's only a matter of time before it's done. I can see it happen.
But it just depends who's going to play that title character, unless they're going to change the character out of the comics or something like that. There's many characters they can use, right? But Eric is it Eric Draven or whatever the hell it is? It's Eric something,
right? I wouldn't actually know him.
No, I can't remember. I'm shit like remembering the characters.
I didn't really touch, after The Crow, I didn't touch any of the other ones. I thought there's no point really. I mean, it used to get all these like Bruce exploitation movies, and it was always people who were trying to be Bruce Lee, and they're funny to watch.
Yeah.
But they're not. You're not going to say, "Oh, that's the next Bruce Lee." And once Bruce Lee died, that was it, done.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee after the next Event of the Dragon. So. It's safe because it was also like writing. I think he was going to be in a TV series, wasn't he? Bruce Lee, because he was supposed to be playing this title character. I think it was called. I think but they did use his original transcript or something, because they brought the TV series.
Kung Fu.
Yeah, the Kung Fu. Yeah, it was like a series, but it was called Warrior. It was meant to be set in America. That's actually from the actual transcript that Bruce Lee written, because he was going to do that as a TV series.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen because he died after, I think it was a couple of days after the Enter the Dragon. And look, that was great. I'm happy that was finished. Yeah. And I think it was in the middle of shooting. I think it was Game of Death as well. It was because they were in the middle.
Well, funny enough, Game of Death. He was shooting Game of Death, and they said to him, "Down your tools. We've got a big Hollywood movie for you." So he went and done Game Enter the Dragon to go back to Game of Death, and then he died. So he never touched Game of Death. So he'd only filmed an hour's worth of stuff. That's what you can see now. And he had the film that he was going to do is nothing like the film it turned out. No. Had to sort of Hollywoodize it. And if you watch the Game of Death 2, the storyline of the Game of Death 2 was kind of like what the Game of Death was going to be. The fact that we're fighting pagoda. Yeah. So along this sort of he just does this fight after fight after fight. Bruce Lee's brother in this movie, because Bruce Lee character gets killed off at the start. So, but it's it just shows you that how what potential he had. If that was, when they said to him, "Oh, you can do everything for this Enter the Dragon," so we put everything into it. I think he put too much into it. I think he didn't do himself any favors. Lost too much weight. You can tell he's like skin and bones actually.
Yeah,
and in the fight scenes, he's obviously 0% fat. But and he apparently had really bad headaches on set, but he didn't do anything about it because he wanted to finish the film. So I think that was the signs to say there's something happening here. Like,
well, it was there, right?
Yeah, he used to black out a lot apparently, but it just gets back to the fact is we're talking about this part of the curse. Well, of course, everyone says when Brandon happened, it was the curse of the Bruce Lee's, the curse, the Lee curse, and then all the rumors started about it was conspiracy with the triads, all this type of thing, the mafia. It probably wasn't at all, but
no.
This is the same with The Exorcist. It took on that pathway.
That's right, and that's it. Like you said, it's all it's just free advertising in a way. It's and it worked. It worked.
It did.
I think the best thing, right? Shan Lee, who was actually Bruce Lee's daughter. I'm glad she didn't go down the acting route. I'm glad she saved herself. Don't go down that route, and she could have been the next one. Bro, I'm just happy that she didn't do any more acting. So that's the main thing. Yeah. So anyway, and like going back to The Exorcist, like now, see, because like going back like the movie, the film screens, that kind of stuff, seeing those showings on there, like I think people actually died as well during the film as well. Like I think someone like got frightened to death. I think so. Somewhere around that.
In the cinema. I hear that, but is that another myth?
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of those things where it would be brilliant if, well, for publicity, it would be brilliant if that happened.
Mm-hmm.
It might have done, but it's one of those ones where is it a real one or not? But I could imagine this coming out and really petrifying people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Could you imagine that the news broadcasting on someone died watching The Exorcist? That's another couple of millions butts in the seats. It's I think it's a myth. I think, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
but I do believe that people actually faint during it. Well, it is true.
Yeah.
Well, of course, because it was something that just never was seen before. It was controversial. It was terrifying. Very unsettling, and nothing was, like John said earlier. Nothing before came close to what The Exorcist. Like it was no. It was just unique. Unique is the word. It was so unbelievably unique that nothing you could not compare it to anything before.
Because before that, you had a few like Hammer films that were getting into the possession sort of trope. You had like to the Devil a Daughter. You had another The Devil Rises Out. So you had a few of them coming in, and when you look at them, they were a little bit, as you watch them as you were young, they were quite, that they scared you. But this was next. This was like, it was a bit fun as well, so a bit tongue in cheek.
Exactly.
But this movie was like not like that. This was like as if you thought, well, this was real life.
Yeah, this was like full on, like proper horror to the limit.
Yeah,
that's
took it to the next level and beyond.
Right, exactly, because like the best thing is because like with this film, it was also a mixture of genres as well. Because you had like the psychological theme of it, you had like the thriller side of it as well. It's like you just trying to make you feel like what is going to happen next. That kind of that feeling. Like why is Regan being possessed? But you do find out because she's been messing with that Ouija board. Remember?
Yeah.
It's all because if she didn't start playing with that Ouija board and everything, none of it could have happened. She would have been right. Basically,
the Ouija board thing was great then.
Yeah.
Because it was never a thing in movies, but now when you do see it, it's a lazy tool to use in films now.
Exactly.
Wow, the Ouija board, wow, it worked for that movie. It hasn't worked since. Every time I see a movie with a Ouija board in it, well, I'm kind of like rolling my eyes a bit. I'm kind of like, oh, geez, right.
It doesn't have the same power.
Exactly. Because they made like 2 films about Ouija, didn't they?
Yeah.
Having said that, I'll tell you what, the second one's brilliant in that movie. I've never seen it. It's one of those rare anomalies where the first film is absolute garbage, but they made an incredible sequel to it.
Yeah.
The sequel is absolutely extraordinary. But it's one of those things that you have to watch the first one. You have to go through the painstake of the first one to appreciate the second one. So it's definitely worth a watch, that second one though.
Because like the second one's directed by an actual proper horror director, in it. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, I think it was Mike Flanagan, wasn't it? Yeah,
Mike Flanagan. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because he directed Doctor Sleep, and he done like the House
That's right. Oculus.
Yeah, Oculus.
I didn't realize it was the same fella.
Yeah.
I don't think no, he didn't direct the Babadook. That's a whole different.
And correct me if I'm wrong now as well, but I'm nearly positive that he is directing the new Salem's Lot.
Think so, well. That's going to be interesting. Because like,
it's he's directing it, and James Wan is writing it.
That's
apparently.
Wow, that's quite good pedigree, isn't it?
Yes, indeed.
Because like when the Doctor Sleep was first announced, like when he was directing that, like the sequel to The Shining.
Yeah.
I was like, how the hell are they going to do that? It's like, so the book came out years later. I think it was 2013. That book came out, and then to find out when they're making this an actual sequel to the actual Shining. I was like, did this really need a sequel? But I think the best thing is that it's not focused on Jack Nicholson's character. Jack, right? It's mostly focused on about his powers. And then you start to find out like why he has the powers. Then you meet the little girl who you do see, right? It's a whole different story, and that's why like you do go back to the actual hotel, but that's just but that was like, well, I thought that was just for nostalgia reason, that kind of thing.
Well, you see, what they done brilliantly with that Doctor Sleep was because the Stanley Kubrick ending is not the ending that's in the book.
No.
The Overlook Hotel burns down in the book. Yeah. And I think that's what's brilliant about the ending of Doctor Sleep. It's almost like he gave us that ending. Because he burns down the Overlook at the end of Doctor Sleep, and it's I thought it was quite brilliant. Everything, but I've said it numerous times to numerous people. That film is definitely up there, one of the best sequels I've ever seen to a movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I've seen
that
at the cinema on the big screen. I haven't seen the director's cut yet. It's only like an extra half hour. It's like 3 hours long. Right.
Yeah.
I need to give that a shot, and luckily I found it. It's actually on Prime Video, so that's pretty easy for me because I don't have to buy it. And but I do need to get The Shining and all that kind of stuff. I probably will get Doctor Sleep as well to complete the series. But like, thing because like with like Exorcist, like we like say go back to Shining for a minute. The Shining was something that we never seen before, right? As well.
Yeah.
Like the famous like the blood coming out of the lift, that kind of thing, right? That is so mad how they did that. Like it's they must have used so much corn syrup for that scene.
I know. Can you imagine the cleanup on that one?
Oh,
wow!
I would love to see like the actual cleanup team actually clean that. Literally, like it was actually built. That would have been like. Oh bloody hell! And then Kubrick got away with that seriously, and it's like because like what I found out like because in the Shining, the whole scene like when he was using the actual the axe, Dr. Town saying he has Johnny, that wasn't actually meant to be in the actual film because it was actually different. It was actually meant to be, I think it was because I know they did another adaptation in the 90s, didn't they? And I actually said the actual word was meant to be the word boo. That's what it was supposed to be. Boo.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be because that was in the original boo.
That's of course. Yeah.
But because they said he has Johnny is to make him more powerful, that kind of thing. Like he's meant to get that. But if you saw from like the Exorcist in a way, he had so many good quotes in the film, like you know what you did, your son and daughter, that kind of thing, and then you had like. Your mother sucks cocks in hell, that kind of stuff. It's so mad. You have all these famous quotes that are so amazing, and then you go back to Shine. There's so many famous quotes from that. It's just outstanding, and that's what makes it feel more powerful. It makes it more believable. That kind of thing. And you want to feel afraid, what it make you freak out, that kind of stuff. And that's what's brilliant. And that's why I love The Exorcist. It's a brilliant.
We were talking at the start of this video. They are saying that about music carrying movies. I think probably The Shining is probably one of the best examples of that.
Exactly.
The music in that movie is just, like I could knock off the lights in here and just play the music from The Shining, and that alone would scare you.
Oh yeah.
It's.
I tell you, when I saw, the trailer for Doctor Sleep, I was thinking at the first I went into it thinking this is going to be right load of rubbish. There's no way they can do anything with this. It's just going to be piffle. So it was, fairly whatever. But as soon as on the trailer when the Shining music came in, and I went, wow, I got that. Even though, I mean, I do think the movie's great. That particular music just being in there was enough to get the hackles up, and I thought, wow. So it just shows you how powerful it is. It can change. A trailer you're not really interested in. It's one you think this might be something else, and that's the music. It might have been rubbish, but the music made me think this could work, and it just shows you that it can bring out a feeling in you that you haven't got until you hear it. Yeah.
I was going to say there was another trailer that done that, and it kind of went there in my head, but it was a sequel or a spiritual sequel to a movie, and I remember in the trailer they done something similar. They put the old music into it, and it's powerful. It's powerful when it does happen. It's you could have a very kind of average looking trailer, and then all of a sudden that can happen, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, this has me. This has me now all of a sudden by putting on a bit of music. It's
massively.
Incredible, amazing.
Just to say, I'd like to thank you for you coming on the video, and that got.
No problem.
No problem at all. Thanks for having us.
No problem.
I've really enjoyed that, Ryan. Actually, it's been good to delve into the movie.
Very flattered to be the last episode as well. So it's you left the best to last, Ryan.
Hey, might as well, because I've been wanting you to come on the actual series for a while, and it's just so amazing. Have this amazing chat about The Exorcist, about your opinions on it, and talking about different varieties, about the film as well, the music, what's so great about the scenes, that kind of stuff, and that's what makes it so powerful, and that's what's so great. How all of us who are absolutely love old classic horror, which is the best horror of all time, because you got from the 70s, the 80s, that kind of stuff. It's just amazing. Well, not like the horror that you see these days, like The Conjuring, that kind of stuff. That's more CGI, and I tell that the fuck off it every day, because I'm not a big. But don't worry. See, I do like Stephen King say the first one's really good, but the second one can just go put itself down and escape.
I actually really like that second one. I think that movie has a horror. The ending of that film just has this lasting impression on me. I don't know what it is. But the scene, John, if you remember, I don't know what it is, but it gets me every time. The scene where the adults are walking down the street, and then they all stop, and then they look in the window, and then they see the reflections of their younger selves. Don't know what it is about the scene. I just say it to Ellen. I'm always down and I look at it, and it's it just leaves this lasting impression on me.
Yeah.
I thought the scene is very powerful. I agree with what John what you said about that movie. 20 minutes maybe too long. They could have cut out a lot of fluff in that movie.
Exactly.
I think its running time done it harm, if I'm being totally honest. But I think that film was failed from the get-go because people didn't like the old side of the story, even on the original It movie.
Yeah, you're right, actually.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think people instantly went into that movie just hating it, going to hate it. I actually enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I think that
it's all right. It's just got that extra length that I don't think it needed.
Yes, absolutely.
Because what I've heard, because I think there's meant to be I think they're making another It movie, but I heard it's meant
disaster. I'll leave it alone.
It's good. You know what they're doing? They're doing it as a prequel about the. We don't need to know. We already know. We know he's an alien from outer space. We know he's an alien, right? From a different universe. We already know that because Stephen King already told me. We don't need to know, in an actual film, right? Look, that's the thing. We don't need to know. Leave it a mystery. That's so brilliant. I thought, he's just some evil demon kind of being. That would have been. But finding out he was a bloody alien from outer space, it's just. I would actually call it a sci-fi in a way. It is because since you find out.
Yeah, you're right.
When I didn't know. I never read the book, and I didn't know he was an alien because they absolutely didn't delve in that with the original ish. It was never even mentioned.
No.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, when I found out he was an alien, it ruined it a bit for me
I was like, ooh.
I thought it was fucking stupid. If I'm being totally honest, I just there was something about it. I just found it kind of took away something from him. I don't know what it was. And I think that
It
prequel that
takes
you're
away the
talking
horror
about,
aspect of it, doesn't it?
yeah, that's it. And I think that prequel, Ryan, that you're talking about, I don't think they're going that far back.
Nah,
I think they're going. I think they're going back to just a certain time. It's not when he first got there.
yeah, I think. See,
It's just another time.
if they did go back when he came, it would have been shit. It would have been crap. It's like we don't want to know. We don't want to know if it's like when he first started to come out, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, forget about him first coming there, if that kind of stuff. But if it's first come about, is seeing the very first children going missing, that makes more sense. But the thing is, what doesn't make sense, right, is that he sleeps every 27 years, right? Right? You know he does that, right? So this point, so basically, we find out the first 27 years, we see all the people who've gone get killed. Then you see these new group of kids, which is basically, you know, the Losers Club. And it's just like, so yeah, but that doesn't make sense. So basically, the first time he's appeared was with the Losers Club. And that's where it should only be stayed. So that's why the film shouldn't really be touched. It should just left where it is. But say, in my opinion, I prefer the original from the 90s. That's my go-to. I thought Tim Curry just pulled it off. He's just amazing.
Tim Curry was great. Yeah,
it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
The whole makeup and everything, like he was dressed in, he looks like a proper clown. That's what I like this. But then you see, I'm going to say Bill Skarsgård. Don't get me wrong, he's actually is a really good Pennywise. It just didn't break out well to me. I didn't like his costume. It looked more sinister, like from these costumes.
Yeah.
But I like because going back to the original, he was a proper clown. That's the thing. He's looks like an every normal clown. You see the teeth and everything, and it's just like this is a demon from hell. You can live with it. It's a shapeshift. He's a shapeshifter, as you can tell. He is, right? But he's a shapeshifter, because he's a demon. That's what I wanted. My opinion, like it's like a bit like The Thing, because you never knew like where this creature came from, right? That's what you got. That's the vibe, like what you get from it.
Yeah, I think sometimes that if you know, some things don't need explaining. You know, we don't need to know. Don't get me wrong. When they done the prequel to The Thing, you know, I was always curious to see because when you watch the John Carpenter's Thing, you can't help but go, I wonder what happened in that Norwegian base at the start of it.
Yeah,
and that's fine, you know. But I think then if you start doing that whole thing, that delving right back to where this alien came from and start all that shit, then I think then you're going into just god awful territory. It's and I hope they don't do that with the if they're doing a third It movie. If they're going to make it, because they will, because they made so much money. Of course they can't leave it alone. And just like the Halloween movies as well, that Halloween ends or dies, it isn't my fuck going to die. That's going to be back in 5-10 years. I guarantee you.
Of course you are. Right? It'll never stop. Halloween's here forever.
Yeah.
You know.
I'll tell you what will die. I'll tell you what will die. With this will be Jamie Lee Curtis's character, Laurie Strode. Whether she dies in the movie or not, this is the end of her. I think this will be.
That's her story.
Yeah. I can't see it going any further with her.
Yeah,
to be honest, I think she plays out for what she's going to be, and I think that's her done. And then if it goes on, if she does come back, then it's too many. It's too much.
To be told for her.
And we've got to learn whether to cut the losses and say, right, that's the end of that. We've wrung that one out. We'll have to think of something new, which I think they find it more increasingly harder to do these days.
I said that we were talking about there. They've big shoes to fill when it comes to killing Michael Myers in this movie. Because let's face it, he has to die in it. Well, we know he does. And I have to admit, they've done it twice already with Michael Myers, and I thought twice they'd done it perfectly. I thought what they'd done with Halloween 2 was probably the best.
Burning
I thought what they'd done with H20 was brilliant as well. The way they that little encounter with Laurie Strode and him at the end of it with the van and all that, and then she just knocks the head off him. So they have this tough job now of doing a satisfactory way of killing Michael Myers in this movie.
Yeah.
So the next
I know it's going to be a funny one.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
The next thing what we're
Um,
going to do now is probably be like blowing them up or something like that. Isn't it? That's what's going to happen. They're going to blow them up. That's what
whatever's going to happen, it's going to be. I think it's going to be one of those cases where Laurie Strode is going to sacrifice herself, and she's going to somehow take herself and him out.
A bit like Donald Pleasance did in Halloween 2.
Yeah.
Even though Donald Pleasance came out with a little scar on his face.
Or what he called the fried egg. That's what
fried
he called
egg.
it.
That's the one. The fried egg. Got a fried egg in your face.
Yeah, right.
So if you watch that,
the fact that he just absolutely blew the place up, and he was right next to the bomb, the canister that went off. So wow. But this is horror movie. This is what they do.
A burnt hand and a fried egg in his face. So if you watch Halloween 4 and you watch the start of it and you see that fried egg that he's talking about, if you actually watch it, it actually goes on. They get rid of it during the movie.
It changes, doesn't it? Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And not the fried egg. Brilliant.
Anyway, I like to say thank you very much for coming on, and
no problem.
I look forward for you to come back in the series for season 2. Don't know when, don't know what film we're going to be talking about then, but I really look forward to seeing you guys on the channel. So anyway, thanks guys.
Thank
See you in probably season 2. That will probably be coming out later on in the year, because I'm actually going to be focusing on my new series, Arrow of the Night. It's basically me going through my Arrow videos that I haven't watched, and there's going to be a couple of odd reviews with other people as well. So Keith, you might show up on it, and John might show up. Yeah,
happily.
Yeah, of course, Ryan. That's no problem at all. It would be great, because I've enjoyed this. I thought it's been really good, really fun, and that's what's in the day. If you have fun with it, that's all it's what it's about.
Absolutely.
Best thing at the end of the day, because like having a conversation about a certain film that's so amazing, and it could be shit. That's the thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so many bad films I've seen, and I literally ranted literally badly. It's just me just swearing my head off. That kind of thing is what it is. But, well, that's the thing is, that's what a review. Because like when I've done like Scream 3, that's when it goes woo. I literally called that Dewey the movie. Dewey the movie. Dewey. Oh,
brilliant.
But anyway, we'll see you later, guys. See you in season 2. Bye.
See you now. Bye now.
Take it easy. Bye bye.